Hello, this is going to be a brief walkthrough of the project management tool that has been developed for your usage. Again, this is a tool that is meant with the goal of helping you make your roles easier to plan. If this doesn't do so, you do not have to use this tool. So what this tool is, it's basically designed as a relatively simple, basic project management tool in spreadsheet format that people are more familiar with rather than other project software programs that basically breaks down larger project components into smaller tasks. You can set due dates for each task, assign owners, track your progress. There's two versions of this tool available. One is the version that we're going to be going over today, which has a few more bells and whistles, including a Gantt chart, and I'll explain that shortly. And then there's also a very cut down version in Google, which is a Google Documents version, which is very simple but allows everyone to collaborate on it a little bit easier. For those familiar with the tool. So the difference is the Google Documents version, everyone can access it at the same time, make changes, and it's there. There's no downloading of the file and uploading it. However, with the spreadsheet version, which has more bells and whistles, you would have to download the file, make changes to it, and then re-upload the file for others to be able to use it and see it. So the objectives for this session are to review an optional project tool that is available to aid in managing the project, to review basic spreadsheet functionality to aid in using this tool, and to review an option for tracking other project components such as decisions made over the course of a project. With that, let's jump over to the Excel. The first thing I wanted to show you here is a Gantt chart. So what this is, I'm zoomed out a little bit, but what you see here is a timeline of dates each week going out into the future up until the date of your event. And then you see each of your tasks highlighted so you can kind of see how things stack up. There is over on the left here, you see a caution, and it's hard to see, it's very small. Caution, late, on schedule. So there's color coding to this. The yellows indicate that there's caution next to that item. The red would mean it's late or projected late, and the green means it's on schedule or it has been completed. So this is just a way for you to eye things up visually. You can, shrink things, make columns smaller, hide things, so you can have it all mapped up to the actual task, which will help you, which may help you if you're trying to eyeball up the project at a glance. So I'm going to zoom back out and run through this particular tool. We're going to go all the way over to the left, and so what you have here is the a column for the different owners. You could have milestones built in here versus owners, which are kind of group overwide for the group. And you have tasks associated for each row column here. To help you with navigation, if you're not familiar, these are auto filters. If I wanted to look at the meals facilitation role only, don't really want to be overwhelmed with all the other tasks that are associated here, I could click on this triangle, drill down to the meals facilitation, and that will filter everything out except for the owner of meals facilitation. Now if I wanted to say, for instance, I wanted to change this to the actual name of the person for this event, I could go to the edit menu, I could go find, I could type in meals facilitation, I could do a replace with Jane Smith. And I could do a replace all, and every time that meal facilitation shows up, it will be replaced with Jane Smith. So you can customize this, especially helpful if you are having multiple people sharing one of the roles, for example, or if you want to split up roles in a different way. Moving to the left, or to the right then, we have another way to drill down. So over here in columns H and I, we've got a 1-month window and 3-month window. So what this is saying is, what is coming due within the next month? That's all I really care about. So I can take this, drill down, filter, and also drill down into, okay, now I'm just looking at what's coming due in the next month, or what is late. And I can do the same thing for a 3-month window. The aim there is to try and make it a little bit easier to use so you're not overwhelming yourself with a giant spreadsheet. So I'm going to unfilter these now. Go click on the triangle again, click all, and then I'm going to come over to the owner and do all as well. So now we're back to an unfiltered spreadsheet. I have right now the dates are automatically calculated in here. So up here in the top you've got today's date, which is an automatic calculation, and you have your event date. All of these start dates and due dates for each task in columns E and F, all of these are calculated to start, so it's more of a starting place. You can type over these, you can or you can leave them the same. So right now what it's doing is based off of this big timeline picture bucket that you have here 12 months before, 11 months before, and the amount of time you think it'll take to get that particular item done, it's calculating your start date and your end date. Now again, you can completely write over these dates with your own dates. You don't have to use this, but this is to, at one glance, you could change an entire project plan and based off of the event date. So all you would have to do is change this. Well, it's really December, so December 1st, click return, and now all my dates are recalculated based off of an event date of 12/1. So this really helps with that starting point. What do things look like approximately? If you wanted to add different buckets, let's say an 11.5 months is important for this particular project plan, on the very last tab of the spreadsheet is a reference tab. I could go to this reference tab and add an 11.5 months before, and then calculate, well, 11.5 months times 30 months a day. Forgot to put the calculator in there. So 345 days is what that's saying. So you add in your generic annual timeline and the days before the event. You need to have that complete, and you would plug that in there. So that then you could start adding new buckets here in column C for your big timeline picture, and then it would automatically be calculating your start and end date. Again, that's an optional piece of the tool. Kind of helps you get the ball rolling quickly, and then you can adjust from there. As I mentioned before, on the status you have a late, on schedule, complete issue associated with it. So for each task you can just update that, mark it complete if you're done. We already discussed the 1 month window, 2 month window, and this column here, the current template, is really aimed at a knowledge management component. So as you're going through this item and you come up with new tasks or new project components that you feel, you know what, this wasn't in our initial project template, but this would probably be helpful to everyone that is managing or planning an event, what you would do is change that particular item to something that you can remember, like add to the master document. So at the end of this project you could share this with churchwide, here's these 20 tasks that we thought were important that everyone across the country is going to do. Let's add these to the template and make this better for the next group around, so it doesn't catch them by surprise like it did us. So that's kind of going at this tool with how do we help the next group of facilitators that's taking over this event and down the road. To the easiest way to add a new task, let's go over that next. Since there are various formulas involved, such as all of these, the Gantt chart over here to our right, these items are all formula driven. So the easiest way that I can think of for you to add a new task would be to copy, highlight an entire row, like row 18, right click on your mouse to get the menu, and then copy that particular item, then come back to the same place, right click again, and say insert copied cells. So what I did is I created a copy of that entire row. Now I can start changing this to Jane. This is an action item for Jane Smith. She needs to contact the caterer or contact food supplier or something along those lines, and then you can change each item. I would recommend that as the, if you're not familiar with Excel, the easiest way to go about adding new tasks to this particular project plan. Then all of the formulas are already built in. You can see down here we already have the date. If I change this to on time, on schedule, now it turns green and everything is already there for you. If you wanted to add a new column, you could simply click on a column up above and right click insert, and then I've created, for a new thing we want to track or add to this particular column. The last thing that I want to run through is protecting the spreadsheet. So if you have people that are not familiar with Microsoft Excel and you worry about them kind of blowing things up in the spreadsheet, right now there's an option. I've gone through and protected some shells and cells and left some unprotected. So what I mean by that is, let me highlight a few cells here. Let me right click, let me go to Format Cells. If I go to the last tab here, Protection, you see that these are locked. That means if I protect this spreadsheet, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, whoever opens this up cannot change the cells that have this locked. Likewise, if I come down here to these cells where it's your task descriptions and your items, and I right click on these, Format Cells, and I go to Protection, I have them unlocked. I can cancel that. And so when I go up to the Tools menu, Protection, and Protect Sheet, and I'm going to recommend not putting a password in case you forget it. So just leave that blank. And there should be a Use Auto Filters. You'd want to make sure that's checked as well. So that people can use those, drill down by that. Then I click OK. It's now protected the sheet. If I try and type on one of these cells that's locked, it's going to get an error message saying, you know what, I can't do that. If I try and change one of these cells that is unlocked, it'll let me do that. So it's kind of to help you protect the spreadsheet from getting too corrupted. And then if you do want to make changes to other cells, you can simply unprotect the spreadsheet. Now, a few other things about this spreadsheet that I want to run through real quickly are different tabs that I've added, such as decisions made. You know, if it's a long-term project, 6 months, you can be making decisions at a team, and then 4 months later, it's possible, if you have a lot of things going on, you might forget the decisions that you made and what things you considered. So I recommend having a place, it could be here or somewhere else, to actually just keep track of all the decisions you're making as you go through this process, so that you can reference them down the road. And if you need to change one of your decisions, you can quickly jump to the alternatives if you've jotted those down that you were looking at and considering, and not have to start from scratch on that item. And along those lines, just keeping an additional information tab, stakeholders, identified tab, so you can write down who you've reached out to. Something, you know, if you wanted to create something new, you could insert a new tab. You would do that by going to the Insert menu, insert a new worksheet, and then change this however you'd want to track something additional. You could have an issues log item, for example. You could create a tab for your meetings notes, for example. So you could use this project plan, you know, to one, keep track of all of your tasks at a micro level, but then also keep track of a bunch of other information associated with the project. That way, all your information is in one place, and try and help with ease the communication burden of the project. So one of the things that I've seen this tool used for is at the beginning of the meeting, you drill down into like the 1 month status, what's coming due in the 1 month, and you just run through task by task and ask for an open or closed. You know, is it open? Is it closed? Do we need to have a conversation on it? Just run through the list very quickly, or have everyone update the spreadsheet, you know, as in open, closed, or put in a comment if they're not going to be there, or kind of use this as a living type document. So that's really all I wanted to run through on this particular tool. In conclusion, again, just a reminder, this tool has been created with the hope of making the planning and executing of this project process easier. If it doesn't do so, you don't have to use this tool. So some of the things that this tool can help with, again, is increasing your communication, reducing your miscommunication, establishing accountability and shared expectations, making sure that everyone's in alignment and knows when things are coming due. Increase your coordination, make it easier to collaborate on tasks, your knowledge management component that we talked about. Aids in your status updates and your meeting coordination, and driving continuous improvement, being able to, at the end of the day, here's everything we did, here's where the items where we really got stuck on, and be able to share that with future planning groups. I hope this will be useful, and I hope your conference is a great success.